So I sat down to film a video yesterday, and throughout the video, I knew whatever I was saying was not coming off in the way that I wanted it to be. And then this morning on a walk, I tried to film a few clips to add into that video, and as I was editing it this morning, I couldn't. It was all over the place, and although I'm feeling more comfortable in front of the camera, I'm feeling like I'm really niching down as far as what kind of topics I talk about. But I'm also finding that every single time I go to make a video, I expect perfection. And I expect the words to flow out seamlessly, and I set an expectation that this is how the video is going to look, this is how it's going to be filmed, this is what I'm going to say, and when I go to film the video, it never turns out that way. So going back to the actual topic of this video, I want this video to be sharing my story once again, but putting it into context, what I've learned, some of the things that still linger with this disorder, and also why I'm super grateful and I wouldn't have changed that experience for anything. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Bridget. You'll find that I talk a lot about my mental health. I talk a lot about social anxiety, general anxiety, introverts, and all the things that introverts do. And so if any of those things are of interest to you, make sure you go check out some of my other videos as well. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful or useful, comment below what you want to see more from me, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. So let's get into the video. I've done a few videos on this particular story before, and I'm gonna leave the most popular one up here. So I grew up with something called selective mutism, which is an anxiety disorder typically in childhood, where the child has a phobia of speaking in select situations. So as soon as they start school, that's typically when you see the symptoms starting to develop. I was only speaking to my family, and yeah, that was about it. I was very selective, as most children are with this particular disorder. Now, before I made this video yesterday, I decided that I wanted to do a little bit of research. When I was first diagnosed, no one knew what this disorder was, and I still think not a lot of people do. So when I was first diagnosed, my parents sent me to therapy. I spoke to this therapist, I don't know, maybe once a month. I don't really remember all too well. I also had a therapist in school and another therapist that came with me to school, and that lasted about, I don't know, just a few years. And so when I was doing this research, I really wanted to try and figure out not only the cause, but what new findings have developed since then, because this was 20 years ago. So after searching, nothing really came up. So it still seems like I don't really know what the answer is. I don't know the cause. During that time, I will say that I don't remember much. Might be on trauma, but I definitely blacked out, I'd say, most of those memories. It's very, very fuzzy. And as I was trying to say in the video I had previously filmed, is that it's very weird to be talking about. It's very, I don't know, there's a lot I don't remember. And part of it almost feels like I never even lived that experience. I don't know that girl growing up. I'm completely different. And it kind of feels like imposter syndrome even talking about this experience, because I don't feel like I even resonate with that part of my life anymore. I resonate with what it's brought me because I'm still living with it, but I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. See, this is what happened yesterday. As I started getting comfortable with my surroundings, at probably 5 years after diagnosis, I was able to communicate with more people. Not everyone, and I still can't communicate with everyone, but I was able to communicate with people that were important, I guess. So I was talking to extended family, I was talking to my peers in select settings, I was talking to teachers. And so that's when I stopped treatment, because at that point, nothing was getting in the way. It wasn't hindering my learning, it wasn't hindering my development, and so that was pretty much it with that. So I stopped using that. I don't even remember what it taught me, to be honest. And I grew to kind of understand that once I was comfortable with my environment, I kind of let that fear go, because it is a disorder, an anxiety disorder that is fear-based. When I was extremely comfortable and I felt safe, that is when I was okay to speak out. In certain points in my life, that anxiety was re-triggered. So when I was moving schools, so to middle school, to high school, to college, at each stage, I had to redo everything. I had to relearn how to expose myself, put myself out there, find my voice, find a group of friends, find what felt safe to me. And then at that point, that's when I started opening up to people. But if you think about that, that is time consuming. It is. And along the way, I learned that in order to, I guess, speed up that process, I have to make myself uncomfortable. I have to get comfortable with the feeling of being uncomfortable, because that's the only way I was going to expose myself to those fearful situations. And that was the only way that I was going to be okay with those fearful situations. And as you'll start to notice, if you are someone who deals with social anxiety or knows someone who deals with social anxiety, really the only thing that is going to help you move forward is changing your mindset. It is exposing yourself little by little by little in order to diminish that fear. And I think the biggest takeaway from, going through all those points in my life is that I have to be okay with getting uncomfortable right away. I have to be okay with sometimes not being around the right type of people to push me. I have to be there for myself to push myself. I had previously always surrounded myself with the extroverted individual that was good at networking, that, was really loud and capable of making friends very quickly. I did it in middle school, I did it in high school, I did it in college, I did it even post-grad. I would surround myself with the right person so that networking was super easy. I could get to places that I probably wouldn't have gotten to on my own. And I learned very quickly in the past few years that although it helped me, it was a great coping mechanism, and I would encourage people to do it. I don't regret making that decision because I think it was super helpful, and I don't think it's a bad thing. But I know that I need that part of me that is capable of doing it on her own. It really wasn't until a few years ago that I kind of learned to let some of those fears go and start making those uncomfortable choices for myself. Because if I don't, where am I going to be, right? How am I going to achieve what I'm trying to achieve, which is sharing my story, putting my videos out there, starting my brand? These are the things, like, you can't do any of that without being a little bit, risky, I guess. You have to be very comfortable with making a fool out of yourself. And coming from a place where that was my biggest fear, judgment and standing out and feeling exposed and feeling unsafe, that is sometimes triggering. So I have to keep reminding myself that it is all in my head. One of the things I said in one of the clips on my walk, maybe I'll insert it, maybe I won't, but I said, why did it take me 25 years to figure out that literally no one cares? No one cares. No one cares. Know that it really doesn't matter, and really nobody cares. And I don't know why it took me 25 years to figure this out. I have no idea. And I so wish I had a video like this, a friend like this, someone who got it. Because growing up in this position, I felt like I was the only person who was struggling with this. I felt so alone. And it wasn't even then with that, that little girl growing up. It was almost at every single stage, I felt like nobody understood me. You know what I also wish? I also wish that I was looking for it. Because that is the issue, that I was never looking for it. And I think also part of it was when it was really bad, YouTube didn't exist. There wasn't millions of people sharing their story online. I didn't have access to that. I didn't have that opportunity. So I'm really hoping that this video, this message, reaches someone out there who was in that position or who is in that position. Because if I had a friend like that, if I had someone supporting me and helping me out, giving me tips, I would do it. Because I think the biggest thing is that you don't feel alone. And finding someone who you can relate to or who shares a similar experience is sometimes it's really what you need to give you that push. So that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.